Home with God, a journey that never ends. Chapter 29. The moment you surrender to love and allow it to lead you to exactly where your soul wants to go, you will have no difficulty after death. Maybe they mean. This is another of the several things you have repeated here. I'm clear that you wish me to understand that the moment of emerging into self-realization, the moment of experiencing my oneness with the all, is not something I have to wait for until my death. It's not. You may experience this emerging and this realization during your physical lifetime. Many people do. You've already mentioned meditation, deep prayer, certain disciplines, yoga, tai chi, and so on. Dance and rituals as ways in which people move toward greater harmony, peace in a state of divine resonance or oneness. Are there any other tricks you can share? Just be alone and please don't need all these rituals nonsense. I don't do all this. Move into a place of wonder in the way with all of life in the simple willingness to experience the fullness of that. A desire pure and true is all that it takes to open oneself to the possibility of such moments of transcendence. Many people experience this melting into the one sea quite spontaneously in the middle of some very ordinary activity, doing dishes, vacuuming the carpet, washing the car, dressing the baby, handling an assignment at work. Exactly, you don't need to go all through all this nonsense. All those kind of rituals in routine. Driving down the road, standing in the shower, going walk on the nature alone, looking at the trees, the placid calm lake, walking on this white sand beach, walking a white sand beach alone at night, listen to the sound of the waves alone, alone. That's all about beliefs. That's all about connect yourself to your essence. You don't need to go through rituals like candle, crystals, and all that. You don't need. It's not necessary. Suddenly, abruptly, without warning or cause, there is a sense of no separation, an experience of unity with everything. Is usually felt for a split second, and then things go back to normal. But it is an experience that one never forgets. What should we do if this happens? Just be yourself. Just enjoy the moment. When you are with your dog, your cat, your chicken, whatever, your goat, you hug them, your children, small children. That's all about reconnect yourself and be in bliss because your heart is filled with joy and love at that moment. When you are with your pets, your animals, and your children, right? Or your plants, your herbs, etc., your vegetable, your fruity tree, whatever. Well, whatever you do, don't ignore it. For many people, it means open missed or ignored. If you have or have had such an experience, you can go back to it in memory and recapture much of the feeling that was experienced there. You can use it as a starting place, a jumping off point for longer experiences. There are people who are able to move into this experience of oneness at will and who remain within it for extended periods. Some remain within it for the rest of their lives. is simply a matter of focus or holy presence centering. Holy presence centering, except inside a hospital. Over there, the energy is so thick, so dense that you feel so bad, so very bad. I just can't step into a clinic filled with a person, a ER room, a hospital, or any other negative place that I become transformed. Whole presence centering, well, we are going to encounter the problem with the words again. It's very difficult to describe certain experiences using the limitation of words. That's why I have encouraged you to form pictures whenever you can. Even though the pictures in your mind are metaphors, they will often come closer to bringing you the feeling of knowing than words can ever do. Correct, images. By whole presence centering, I mean those times when you are wholly present in the moment that is occurring right now in your life, when there is not a single part of your body, mind, or spirit that's somewhere else. This is very rare for most people, but it can occur, and a people with a real intimacy can cause it to occur regularly. You can, with determination, take your mind off of everything else and bring it to this moment right now. Some of you call this the experience of being centered or fully present. Remy Deci wrote a book about this called Be Here Now, and there is the more recent contribution by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. One way to achieve this state of being is to look into your own eyes in a mirror. This is a deceptively simple and incredibly powerful tool. The trick is to not turn away if this deeply looking becomes uncomfortable. If you are able to hold your own gaze for more than a count of 10, you begin to experience such compassion and love for yourself. Then you will almost not know what to do with that feeling. It could be very difficult for you to take in this feeling. If you are not used to loving yourself, and most people sadly are not, just be with the feeling and embrace it. I don't need to go to the mirror and look at myself to love myself. There's no sense. I'm asked to lift a candle and I'll look at the candle. What for I gonna do this? For what? Continue looking deeply and more deeply into your own eyes. If you use a handy mirror, you can be sitting when you do this. Now, all at once, after looking deeply into your own eyes for as long as you can, simply and quickly close your eyes and be with the feeling that follows. Very often, you feel merged with the essence. This could last on a moment or for the rest of the day. If you have a life partner or a friend with whom you feel close, you may also try a variation of this process by looking deeply into the eyes of another. Again, do not turn your eyes away, even if this deep looking begins to become uncomfortable. It will soon pass, melting in the softness sea and the inner glow as you feel yourself merging with the self of the other. I do this to animals. I love to stare their eyes and I read their soul and they look at mine. What you are seeing when you look deeply into the eyes of yourself or another is the soul. Exactly. That's what I look in them. That marvelous, beautiful soul. And then I finish up by giving a tight, beautiful kiss on the lips or on the forehead. The eyes are the windows of the soul. You may remember that earlier I said that if you look into the eyes of another or into your own eyes and expect to see God there, you will. If you do not, you won't. Either way, however, you will become fully present And becoming fully present to the here and now is a very effective way to slug off the distractions and exclusions of the mean-daring mind and bring yourself into a much higher experience of the life you are living. You cannot look into the eyes of any living creature without becoming fully present. That includes your dog. Correct, very correct. I try this always. Your cat, even a wild animal. Correct, I do that since young. Stop in your tracks and lock eyes. Even a tamed animal, a lion or a tiger or a bear. And see if you do not feel fully present. I did. I do. I always knew that since young. When you become full present this way with another living being, you may very well start to love them. People do fall in love with their pets, and the feeling is very real. Yeah, that's correct. We really love them for infinity. Especially difficult to look another human in the eye for any period of time at all without beginning to fall in love. That's why people look away from each other so quickly. I do that. If the humans, I look away. I don't like to look at the humans. I don't like, first of all, I'm shy a bit. Second, I don't like. There's a, I don't know what kind of feeling. I like to look at the animals. They are mysterious, profound, intense, beautiful, pure, majestic, marvelous. That's why people look away from each other so quickly. They don't dare look each other right in the eye for very long. That's me. The love that will follow will overwhelm them. Yet it's because they do not know what to do with the love that they are overwhelmed. Maybe that's true. And I don't like to look at humans. Oh yeah, I like to look only at my children, my young children, and my mother. That's all. The other, no. The moment you surrender to love and allow it to lead you to exactly where your soul wants to go, you have no difficulty. All struggle men will cease, and you will know one and see. This is what happens at the moment of emergency. This is what occurs at the time of total immersion with the essence. It's very healing way to start a day or to end one. Usually autist or um, autist and there's another name is the autist and the Lucifer Albeg syndrome and the dyslexic. Usually they don't like to look at people's eyes. They don't. They avoid. This is what happens at the moment of emergency. This is what occurs at the time of total immersion with the essence. It's a very healing way to start a day or to end one. Or to end a life, it would seem. I mean, you are saying, aren't you, that some people can experience this merging, this melting into one and see during their physical life, but that all people experience this at the moment of their death? Do I have this right? You have it very right. No one is excluded, no one is disqualified, no one is left behind. What about those who don't believe it will happen? Belief does not create your experience here for the second stage of death. Wow. Belief does not create your experience here after the second stage of death. Correct? Was happened on the first stage. So those who are still creating, they are still on the first stage of death. By the third stage, you are already in the, how to say, you are already in the crossroad of your destiny. You already go for access and analyze to find out where you will be allocated. If you remain there, if you go forward throughout planes, or if you return to a physical body. Okay, so belief does not create an experience after the second stage of death. What does? Desire. Wow, 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 and triple wow. The three stages of death are designed to move you gently and as rapidly as you wish to move through the process of re-identification. In the second stage of death, you still identify your mind, and so your experience is dictated by what is in your mind. Your beliefs create your experience during this stage. Once you drop this identity, however, your experience is created not by what you believe, but by what you desire. This is the beginning of your experience called heaven. But why would somebody experience hell? Why would they desire hell for? I don't believe that someone will hate themselves so much at the point of being in hell or purgatory. I think they are there on the first stage, maybe. Knows. You may experience these three stages of death that I have now several times described, even while you are alive. Now, wait a minute. I know you said that I could experience the moment of emergency while I'm alive, but I have not heard you say this. Yeah, if you do samadhi, you can. If you do samadhi, you may be able to merge yourself in the heaven of desires and the experience you wish. We are talking about the same thing. We are talking about the depth of the idea of separation. That's what happens at the moment of your physical death, and that occur at any time. The three stages of death are simply the three steps of re-identification. These are first, release identification with the body. This means the three stages of death is first, release identification with the body. You no more identify yourself with the body. That means you absolve, you get another type of personality, and your rationalism is gone. Second, release identification of the mind. That's the second stage of death. You start now to dissipate your mind, or they will do it for you there through laser. Okay? This happens. Nobody's telling this. Nobody. Three, releasing identification with the soul. That's the third stage. It's when you let it go, your soul and everything else, because your soul too is something that you you like it's not you, but you want it so as to experience yourself as an entity, an avatar. All right, but you are not your soul, you are not your body, and you are not your mind. You are something else. You are pure consciousness. I always talk about it. You are pure consciousness. Okay, so first release identification with the body, the first stage. Second stage, release identification with the mind. When you drop your mind, or they do it for you. Third, release identification with the soul. When your soul will be destroyed, yours, and you have a second death. Okay. However, the first stage you can stay with the body, but that's why I say it's hard to have a ghost, because it's impossible for you to stay there on the other side for many long periods, long stretch period of time. It's at least so nowadays, whereby the rules has been modified. So it's very difficult for you to remain as a ghost, because you're gonna have a second death in the other side. right? Want you or not. So, who is ghost? Those are beings. Those are entities. Those are not human souls. That's why I always say that. No matter what dogmas say, religion say, whatever says, I still believe that you don't remain a ghost for a long time. Maximum 2 years, okay? You move forward. What remains behind is something that is not quite you. You call it demons, if you will. But if we identify with none of the aspects of ourselves, then what are we identifying with? Nothing. Nothing except the void, the void, the void. I have said it before, the void, the void. You're going to identify now with the void because you are void, you are nothing. You come from nothing. This is mind blowing, but the truth must be told because people live in you are all living here in a fantasia. You are playing, you are playing, living here. But if we are not identifying with none of these aspects of so nothing, we identify with nothing at all, nothing in particular. As soon as you think that you are something or that you are not that, then you begin to imagine yourself as limited. Yet, the essence is in no way limited. In the moment of emergency, you identify with the all, which means that you identify with nothing in particular, nothing at all. Exactly, exactly. So as soon as you think that you are something or that you are not that, then begin to imagine yourself as limited. Yet the essence she is no way limited in the moment of emergency. Your identity is the all, which means that your identity is nothing in particular, nothing at all. The Buddha understood this perfectly and achieved it. Many masters have achieved it. Most people do not achieve this during their lifetime. All souls achieve this at their death. That's what death is for. Is emergency, is remembrance, is going back to yourself. Understand? It was yourself, not necessarily the void. So this is not something that could happen, but something that does happen for everyone when they leave the body. Yes. In the third stage of death, you encounter the wondrous perfection of who you are as seen through the eyes of God. That sounds so wonderful, just so wonderful. So chapter 30, there is no suffering of any kind in the afterlife. There is no suffering of any kind in the afterlife, contrary to what the fearmongers spread around, saying that there will be hell or there will be purgatory, etc. There won't be none. It's just illusion. Okay, it's an illusion. Even if this happened, it will be in a non-second a fraction of second, and then it will all disappear as soon as you start to think differently. So you may remain merged if there's a she as long as you wish, but as we have explained, you will not wish to remain forever, for you would lose the ability to know the ecstasy of the experience. The tremendous energy shift that you will experience during total immersion will propel you back out of the senshi, renewed and recreated in the entity as the identity you remember and standing in the core of your being. So, uh, once, let's say this one is the cosmos, right? So this man, this entity now, just this come out with the body, and he merges with this and become one with it, become one with the all. But You can stay there to replenish yourself, to rejuvenate, just like take a vacation. You come out from there rejuvenated. I have seen my sister and my mother uh, very rejuvenated, very young, because also you pass through eta, okay, because of the eta. And then what happens is that you come out, and after you come out from there, because you can get dull and boring because it's the void, it's nothing in sea. But you don't want to remain here all the time because it can get quite boring. So you want to emerge back again to recreate. So when you come out from there, um, you're gonna being faced with the other all the aspect of your life that you have lived before, all the fractals, okay, all the fractals, and then you're gonna walk down this corridor of time, non-time, in the time continuum, and then you're gonna see everything that you have been, you have been, and then there will be all your fractals now will come out, will express itself, all that you have been, okay, both in this life or maybe in others previous one. So you're gonna choose to choose to experience if one of those fractals, a lot of fractals. There's main mural of time and space to choose from. So, but not all are expressed at that moment, only some. So, the chamba, the core of the upper range, if we stay with our metaphor, later we'll talk as we go um, backwards. We're going to discuss about this in this book. It's going to discuss about the apple orange metaphor. It's when the apple becomes an orange. It's a metaphor, okay? It's not something literally. Yes. Imagine how a large room where the portions of the mural that you look at when you are coming down the corridor of time are mounted in the walls. The entire mural is not there. Only the parts of the mural, the fractals, only the section of the overall painting of all experiences of Freud, Tati, etc., upon which you focus as you move through that corridor. These images now hang on the walls like an art exhibit, and they walk through this art gallery, slowly examining the picture one by one. You walk down and then you look through time, through space and time. As you explore these paintings deeply, you experience everything that is happening in the painting. Not just what is happening with you, but what is happening with everyone else in the painting. Because everything is a, is a straight line, is a time continuum, and is a straight line whereby the future, which doesn't quite exist, is here together without division. And here we say is the present moment. And here is the past. The past not just of your past as an individual, but that of your entire soul family and of the global of the human species and others, okay? Of everybody's all here in this line, existing at the same fraction of time. So, these images represent each of the moments of your life, and now examining them, you have for the first time a complete picture of all that is going on in every moment. Okay, this is also called the Akashic registry or record, whatever. The registry of time and space, not just of the earth, but everything else there is. Okay, Akashic registry. So you're gonna be reading this after you die. It's a marvelous time of your life. For many people, I mean for me, I don't know about people, but for me it will be wonderful. It's going on every moment. This is often not what you thought was going on, and it's always more than you imagined. Mm. Well, here we go again. It's a coincidence that just as we are having this conversation, I would meet a woman at a spiritual retreat that was facilitated in Bristol, England, who told me a story that echoes your metaphor. I could hardly believe what she was telling me, coming on the heels of what you just told me here. It was as if somebody, some angel or something, was sending me physical, real world confirmation of what I was receiving in this rather way out dialogue that we are having here. I was so taken aback by what this woman told me and by the coincidence of it all that I asked her to write it all down and send it to me. Here's what she wrote: the fascinating story of the near-death experience of one Elizabeth Everett of the United Kingdom or UK. It goes like this. Dear Neil, I promised you at the weekend in Bristol that I would write to you with my story, so here goes. Are you sitting comfortably? I was 25 years old, and for the first time in my hitherto tumultuous life, I felt truly blessed and content. I had met the man of my dreams after kissing way too many frogs, and I was 7.5 months pregnant with our deeply wanted daughter. I developed a flu-like illness and was admitted to hospital. I realized quickly that I had chicken pox and was horrified because, as the fate would have it, I also worked at the hospital as a midwife, and I had watched the last three similar cases end up in intensive care. I have watched the last three similar cases end up in intensive care. I knew what treatment was needed, and I knew that I needed it now. And in spite of being extremely poorly, I tried to take charge of my own care and harassed unwilling colleagues to take me seriously. But in a black comedy of errors, they procrastinated, disbelieved, misdiagnosed, neglected, and overdosed me. Now she's getting a dose of their own poison. Now you know what's hospital for you. Okay? And they, when I say they die of hospital. They die of what? Oh, the diagnostic. Uh, I mean the cause of death, not diagnostic. The cause of death, hospital. That's the cause of death. You die when you are at home, then you die. You die when you are stabbed or somebody kill you on accident, you die. Okay, you are burned, whatever, you die. You die when you die naturally at home without care of nobody. But if you go to hospital, you think that you die naturally? No way, no way. And this is what they are trying to do to me, and I'll not allow it. Allowing the chicken chicken pox the opportunity to spread viciously and to infect my lungs. So they procrastinate, disbelieved, misdiagnosed, neglected, and overdosed her or me, allowing the chicken pox the opportunity to spread viciously and to infect my lungs. Ever vigilant and observant, my colleagues thought it might be useful to check my oxygen levels after I had turned blue, and there were shocked gasps when the oximeter announced the level at 64%. What? All hell then broke loose as nobody could understand why I wasn't already dead. What? My oximeter went down to 36 the other day and I was still alive. What are you talking about? I went down to 36. There's a time when my blood shot down to 55, to 45 even, and the nurse looked at me like she got all pale. And she thought I was dead alive. I'm moving. What are you talking about? 64 is already too much compared to the 36. There's many times when the nurse told me, hey doctor, she look at her blood pressure is 46, and he went like, never mind, it's normal. 46, normal blood pressure, the cells or all that thing there, that, the BP. It's not normal at all, and I'm still there standing, still alive in the body. Maybe I don't know, maybe I'm dead. In a way, maybe I'm a zombie. I don't know. So I was hurtled through the hospital to the operation theater as an anesthetic colleague whispered gravely in my ear, your blood gases are disastrous. We will have to deliver your baby to save your life. I'm sorry. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Apparently, I didn't say anything, but I remember clearly screaming. Obviously, in my mind, yeah, they become in a state of narcolepsy and coma. They cannot move, but we are still alive. We are hearing, we are still feeling things, smelling, but you cannot talk. Of course, I bloody know what you telling me. I told you that a week ago, you bunch of incompetent morons, exactly what they are. Bunch of incompetent morons. I swear by God, I have promised myself not to step in a hospital again. I'm still a tube here, and they are planning to do other procedures. I already messaged them yesterday. They call me non-stop for money, for payment, and for me to go back there tomorrow again to be admitted for 5 days. Say no. I say blood again, no. I say no. I'm not going. I already had said that before. And all I want is to take away this blood tube from me. That's what I want. And I'm gonna pay only after they remove this. No remove, no payment. That's a deal. They think they can bully me and abuse me. They are wrong. They choose the wrong person to bully. Maybe I'm there to teach them a lesson. They'll never forget. So the anesthetist told her, I was told, your blood gases are disastrous. We will have to deliver your baby to save your life. I'm sorry to understand. I'm sorry. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Apparently, I didn't say anything, but I remember clearly screaming, obviously in my mind. Of course, I bloody know what you are telling me. I told you that a week ago, you bunch of incompetent morons. At least 10 co-workers swooped down on me in a matter of seconds. They pulled, poked, stabbed, and ripped in frantic preparation for emergency cesarean. Cesarean. I had never before felt such an abject terror or such conviction that this was it. Self-preservation was so high that I didn't give a toss when they couldn't find my baby's heartbeat. What about me? I'm dying, for God's sake. Help me, please. I screamed over and over again, apparently in my mind. The clearly agitated anesthetist bent down and compassionately whispered, "For God's sake, calm down. You will be out in a minute." And then again, as she shed tears of utter, utter desolation, "And you can't stop crying. Your mucous membranes are inflamed enough already. Without you make it even more difficult to intubate you." Oh my God, that's hell. It's really hell. He had administered the anesthetic and assuming that it had already taken effect, announced to everyone that despite how it seemed, there was no rush because the surgeon was still eating a sandwich. That's, that's mind blowing. There's still idiots who still going and need these people help. When they are okay, they can walk, they can breathe, and they still go ask them help. It's okay when you are having pain, excruciating pain, broken, terrorized, or when you have trauma, physical trauma. Broken, terrorized, desperate, and alone, I was swept into the anesthetic, believing that I would die and that nobody gave a damn. Do they? Do they? They are just using you robotically, automatically. They don't have feelings. I came round, although apparently I didn't, briefly after the operation to find myself being settled into intensive care ICU. Many workers were already busying themselves around me, but it was as if they were all in soft focus, all except one who stood clear to my side and was dressed in a slightly outmoded, starched white uniform. She smiled and spoke to me with a soft, reassuring voice. Now, you are to let these people just get on with it. It's okay. They know what they are doing. You are safe with me. Sleep now." Relieved that I had made it through the op and reassured by her implacable calm, I allowed myself to go back to sleep. Almost immediately, I felt pulled into a vortex type sensation. This is what she wanted from you anyway. I felt pulled into a vortex type sensation. What the heck was this? As I idioted through it, I was jabbed with dozens of sudden flashes of experiences. Each flash posed the ride for what seemed like a second in a lifetime. At the same time, at the same time. In one flash, I was stabbed. In another, I ran over a dog. In another, I was running for my life in a bog-like field with mustard gas burning my lungs. Split second aware of every molecule of my physical body being ripped apart by an explosion. These flashes were not just presented as images, they were relived. I could taste, hear, smell, and see everything. I had no conscious recollection of any of this, and yet I knew with certainty that every one of these events had somehow happened to me because she stepped on the time continuum. If you step on the time continuum, you you will only experience it because you're on the time continuum. Hold it. I have to interrupt you here. Didn't you tell me earlier in this conversation something about this when I was asking you what happens when a person dies? Didn't you say something about this? I did. I said that if you die and if you believe in reincarnation, you may experience moments from previous lives of which you have no previous conscious memory. I thought so. So this is the British would say. I thought so. So this is, as the British would say, spot on. With one exception, there is no suffering of any kind in the afterlife. Huh? Elizabeth was having some of this experience on this side of death and some on the other. She was truly between two worlds. Had she been fully in the afterlife during this first part of her experience, she would have experienced no pain or fear or suffering of any kind. Mean that she's still on the body, maybe what she was going through in the hospital or play a part for what she saw as suffering, as sensation, or could be have been a previous, a previous experience of her past lives, something like that, but nothing to do with death per se, as it goes continues the journey on the other side. Okay, let's get back to Elizabeth's narrative. The roller coaster rolled on, and then, as snapped fast as it started, it stopped. All sensation left, there was literally nothing. Blackening sea initially, I was relieved. Thank you, thank you, thank you, I called out. The fear subsided and I began to wade up my surroundings. Black. Nothing. She went to the void. I waited. Nothing. I reset, shuffled, and a hush hummed in my mind. Nothing. Panic began to seep in, and I began to question. Oh my God, am I dead? Is it? Really? After all that, an eternity of nothing except me? Increasing panic is still nothing. Increasing panic and anger. What? No bright light, no guide to ease my transition. Where's my dad? The very least he can do is show up. Oh, come on. No, help, please. What the hell did I do? Am I dead? Where's anyone? Oh, God, no, please. I want to see my baby. What about my baby? Is she dead? Please, I'm begging. I don't want to die. Nothing, Frank. Finally, I was quiet in a state of numb calm. What makes you think you are dead? My unconscious ears pricked up. I scrambled my unconscious self together. Hang on. I recognized the voice of the nurse by my bedside. Thank God. Where have you been? Where the heck am I? How do I get out? What makes you think that you are dead? Yes, yes, okay, I get it. I'm not dead because I can hear you. What am I in some weird anesthetic reaction? Yeah, exactly. That's drug. Dramatic sign. What makes you think you are dead? What makes you think you are dead? Okay, this is weird. Who are you and what do you keep asking me that? You asked me now. What makes and so an exhausting discussion began, which seemed to have lasted 4 days, as I ranted and raved how unfair, unjust, and cruel it was that I was here. Wherever the blip here when she counted my every argument, she challenged my right to live, questioning what made me any more special than anyone else. I was incandescent with rage, as I just couldn't get through to this dancing maniac. Yeah, this identity can be really very rude. And then the flicker book started, just like the book of stickman pictures that you draw in sequential frames and then thumb through to animate it. As it started, I recognized the characters from the movie. This was my life. Aha! I sneered. That old chestnut must be dead if my life is flashing before my eyes. No response, just the deep sigh. and wham! I was struck deep down to my soul as I felt the full impact of every frame. They flicked past in an instant, and yet I swear that I felt the full force of every single moment, not just as if I were reliving it, but as if every other soul affected by it were also reliving it through me. So I was struck deep down to my soul as I felt the full impact of every frame. They fricted past in an instant, and yet I swear that I felt the full force of every single moment, not just as if I were reliving it, but as if every other soul affected by it were also reliving it through me. These were not the catalogue of moments from my life that I would have compiled given any conscious thought. There were very few mementos easily recalled events. This was not my airbrushed autobiography. For much of the time, the images raining date order from birth onwards. But there were times when the events were connected in some way, and then the images lurched forwards and backwards in time, giving me the full understanding of the consequences of whatever the thought, action, or deed may have been. They were recollections from the full spectrum of emotions. What I would now recognize as moments when I had the opportunity to either show or be shown aspects of divinity. I realized that most often it was not in the high drama times of my life that has the most impact. It was the effect of the seemingly unremarkable events that rippled through time, from the hurt and distress a casual Cathy comment had made, to the unbridled joy and achievement of riding my bike without stabilizers for the first time. I remember the emotion and truth of each frame as if it is now imprinted on me, but I struggle to remember with any clarity the specifics of the events attached to it. It is as if the physical events lost their significance once their value was understood. As I recollect it now, I never felt judged and I didn't judge myself. I simply understood that I had seen my true self. Once the freaking book finished, I was literally exhausted. I still clung to the idea that I had to win the argument, that I had to prove my right to live. And yet the flicker book had taken almost all of the wind right out of that sail, and a desperate desire to hold my child and abuse my loved ones was all that I had left to fight with. Even that ardent wish was somehow subdued by the aftermath of the life review. I tried to argue, but in my heart wasn't in it. Every statement or question was offset by a perfect response. Finally, I whimpered, "You know what? You win. I can't fight anymore. I have nothing left to give. I give up." Almost before I had even thought the words, I felt immediate relief. The healing that I had bitterly thought was fruitless flooded into my existence and literally enveloped me in a buffer of unconditional support. It was nurturing, reassuring, and energizing. And it was as if all those wonderful souls were right there with me, holding my very existence in their arms. And I keep it safe. Suddenly, I was swept from that wonderful place in the phenomenal experience. I have no idea how, but I experienced myself fly over a landscape of snow-capped mountains, vast lakes, forests, and grassland. I flew over and past a tribe of Native Americans, unlike anything I have ever seen them pictured or described as. I watched a mother watching her children with such serene pride that it was awe-inspiring. And then I flew past them up to the top of an imposing mountain in the distance. Right at the top, I came face to face with what I presumed to be a guide. He was a Native American chieftain, and as I looked into his well-worn, lined face and was captured by his eyes, what desperation I had left to dissolve it. I felt with every fiber of my being that he helped me realize an utterly profound truth. But all I can consciously remember is that he told me, "You must be patient, but you will be there. You will be free." And in an instant I slept and seemingly instantly woke up in intensive care. And then the hard part began. I was told that I had been unconscious for 9 days in a semi-natural, semi-drug induced coma. Yeah, they do that. A couple of my nurses told me that I had gone into respiratory arrest twice during that time and needed the full support of the ventilator at those times. Of course, after all the drugs this poor woman was given, what to expect? You think an anesthesia is something funny to play with? What do you expect? She was pregnant. She went through all those ordeals. Not easy. I'm amazed how she even survived this ordeal. And most of her experience CEOs was the product of the drugs, the result of the drugs she was given by the anesthetics. Most interesting to me, however, was a period of approximately 6 hours during which my heart was stuck in an unexpected dysfunctional rhythm called atrial fibrillation. My heart was beating so fast during that time that it was quite literally flickering, just like my flicker book. Yeah, it can happen. Then you see something else, but actually it's your organs or your brain playing tricks on you. This flickering neither worsened or improved my physical condition, and it would not respond to any medication given to resolve it. Much to the doctor's surprise, the fibrillation suddenly and seemingly inexplicably resolved itself. At this point, one of the doctors suddenly remembered a fact from a previous case that she had dealt with and started a course of treatment that undoubtedly saved my life. I believe that once I gave up and the healing flooded in, my body allowed itself to respond and vital information was given to the medics that my mind, body, and soul were realigning just as the chieftain had promised. You must be patient, but you will be free. My daughter Lily is very much alive and well, a force of nature no less, and I was watching a TV program and saw the exact landscape that I had flown over. I investigated where it was filmed, and we are going to visit there in August. I have discovered many facts about the area that make me believe that there are people and resources there that will help me to continue the healing process. That's all for chapter 20, 30.